Hey guys, welcome to the Taco Garage. Today we're going to be installing a Bestop Supertop for truck 2. Long name, that's what they call it. We're going to be installing it on this 2021 Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport. It's a long bed, so this is the longer version of the truck. There's a 5-foot bed, which is a short bed, but the installation will be pretty similar, and that's the only two variations on the bed of the Tacomas, as long as it's a 3rd gen. So this is just for 3rd gen, by the way. 3rd gen Tacomas are 2016 and up, so this installation will cover all of those years no matter what. The only difference is going to be the length, which is pretty irrelevant. So we're going to be starting with the installation process. We're going to show you all of the major steps. We're not going to show you minor stuff like holding a screw or holding your nuts. Other than that, we should be able to show you everything, as well as anything that is particularly difficult or that is not explained well in the instructions. Maybe we'll show you that. All right, let's get started. Step 1 of the installation, get comfortable. Step 2, read the instructions. On a serious note though, it's important that you read the instructions and get comfortable with them, with your tools and with the parts. So that way, when you are doing your installation, you won't have to go back and read a lot or look for your tools, stuff like that. First thing you want to do, very important, this is what gave us the most issues first time we installed this, is make sure the soft top itself, not the frame, but the soft top itself and the side doors get some time to rest. What I mean by rest is just pull them out of the box and lay them out somewhere. Ideally out in the sun so they can stretch out, because the fabric is kind of tight when they come out of the box, and if you try to install it cold and just like that, you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna think it doesn't fit. They just need a little bit of time to stretch out. So pretty quickly, we already have the base frame mounted. It's not completely installed, and that's what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about. But we have the front rails, the front rail, it's only one, the back rail, and the side rails, which are 2 pieces put together on each side. But when installing that, there's 4 clamps. The front clamps and the rear clamps have different size screws, and I just wanted to make a note of that. The back clamps will have this spacer and therefore a longer screw. Front clamps have that. The back clamps don't have this spacer, and therefore they use the shorter socket screw like this one. When sliding these into the bed rails of your Tacoma, make sure that the hole is on top. And this is in the instructions, but it's important, so we're going to mention it. You see that the hole is not in the center of the piece? That's on purpose, and it's supposed to be on top when you slide it into the rail. So just like this, slide it into the rail. Doesn't seem like it's important, but this ensures that this bracket sits right. When putting the top frame together, you're gonna get 4 of these. The long ones, or these are the long ones. The long ones are for the front and back. There's 2 short ones, they're for the center frame. So as we were trying to insert these into the back frame, or the top frame, sorry, we noticed that the tube has a little bit of burrs on the end of it, so it won't go inside the frame. That is stopping it from going any further in where it's supposed to. So we're just gonna clean that up, and it's a good idea to check the ones you have to see if it has any burrs, and if it does, you just grab some sandpaper and sand it off. Another quick note, when inserting these center braces, it's kind of hard. I already told you about sanding the edges to make them slide in easier. Also, the hole that the pivot, or not the pivot, but the pin that you push goes through, it's really tight, and sometimes those have burrs as well. So if you can clean those up, it'll make your life easier. And if you can have somebody else help you, that's also going to make your life easier, because it's somewhat difficult to get everything lined up. And once you insert one of the tubes, the frame doesn't bend as much, so it's not as forgiving. So it's better to install all of them at the same time, but that's hard to do with 2 hands. So if you can get somebody to help you, that'll help. Once you have your frame assembled, it's time to install it. So let it rest on the rail, kind of like this right now. I've already installed the other side, but I'm going to show you how to do it on this side, and you'll do the same process on either side. See this pin right here? This will go into a cutout on the rail, and let's show you that as well right there. So you just gotta push this in and let it slide right in there. Kind of slide it forward a little bit. If you let it rest right where the cutout is, it might get stuck when trying to slide it in or out. So as you push that in, slide it forward. Once you have that pin in, slide the whole assembly backwards a little bit and make sure this brace connects to this pin over here this way. So once that clicks in, you do the same for the other side, and your frame is installed. Now it's time to install the cover. This cover. Yeah. First step in installing the soft top is removing the front rail, okay? We're gonna be sliding a tab on the soft top into this slot on the back of the rail. You'll see. So we're on the final steps of the installation, and like I mentioned before, it is very, very important that you let things warm up, stretch out. We are installing it on this one, and as you can see, it doesn't close. It seems like something would be wrong, but we've seen it before. We've installed these before, so we know that this happens when the fabric hasn't stretched. So this happens if it's too cold or if it's brand new. It's better if you take it out the day before. Hopefully you're in a warm area and you can just leave it out on your yard or something so that it stretches out, and it'll make this installation a lot easier. For us, what we're gonna have to do is put the truck outside and let this thing warm up a little bit, and then we'll try again, because we know that's what usually happens when you see this kind of situation where you can't really pull this close. So this is still very far out from actually reaching the back rails. You can pull on this and it looks a little better. There's still a long way to go. So we're gonna go ahead and take this truck outside, let it warm up a bit, and try again. Right now we're just gonna zip everything up in hopes that it will help stretch out the fabric the way it's supposed to. Once you zip these up, the side panels actually pulls on the top a little bit. So I'm hoping that once we leave it outside, everything assembled, it'll help pull everything in the right direction. So before we take the truck outside, we're just gonna install everything, including this third brake light, which gets covered, or your original third brake light gets covered with this. So you gotta have this. Now, this is kind of a pain because you have to unplug it every time you want to fold the cover, but that's just the way it is. You can leave it off if you want, you know. I made a stupid mistake, but this is why you are watching the video, so you don't make these mistakes. If you look down here, when you're installing the third brake light, you have to run this wire through that hole. This cutout is there, by the way, when you buy it, but there's another cutout over here. So the cable is supposed to run to the back and through that hole right here so that you can use the zipper. All right, don't make my mistakes. So we have almost everything installed. Now what we're gonna do is wire up this third brake light. Already ran this wire through the cover. Now I'm gonna take out the brake light and I'm gonna splice the cables to the brakes so that we can have power on our brake lights. Once you have your tail light out, you're gonna look for this connector. It's the only one kind of shaped like a triangle, and it has 3 cables on it. The blue one is your brake lights. The white one is gonna be ground. So harness that comes with your third brake light is going to be a red and a black wire. The red one is gonna be tapped into the blue one. The black one is gonna go into the white one. You are supplied with 2 wire taps, which you install by sliding into the cables. These open a little bit, not the cables, but the bundle. I already have these wire taps slid into the cables, and I'm gonna actually, you don't even have to cut these open. So you just slide the cable into the second hole. And this wire tap, a little bit of debris in there. It's not debris actually, this is just from the molding process. They didn't do this right, and it's just a lower quality tap, I guess, that was supplied here. So it has a little bit of junk in there, and the cable won't slide in. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. I'm gonna try and show you. It's blocked, so I'm just trying to clean that up a little bit. You should be able to get a wire through that now. Cable slipped out, so I'm gonna open this up one more time, get that cable in, and I just slid it into the first opening, And I'm gonna use the second opening for our cable. Again, black goes with the white. And all you gotta do is make sure you insert the black cable enough so that this metal piece will slice through it. You don't have to go way past the tap, or too short wouldn't be enough, but just as long as the tap, and that'll work. So once you have that in, you gotta press that metal part in, and it's easier to do with pliers than with your hands. It's actually kind of hard to do it with your hands. So once you've inserted that fully, you can close this. Okay, so when getting ready to wire that third brake light, you're gonna run your harness through the inside of the cab, or inside of the bed first. And I'm gonna show you where right now. The harness from Supertop has two plugs like this at the end of it. So you wanna cut one off because that's what you're gonna tap into the brake light. That end that you cut off is gonna go through right here, and you might have to bend this tab or this piece of sheet metal with a screwdriver. So you just pull that up a little bit, enough to get that wire through, and that wire will come out on the back where your tail light is, and we'll show you that too. Once you push that cable through the other side, you should see it come out over here. You might have to play with it a little bit so that it comes out the way you want it to, which is to the back. But once you do that, you should see the cable right there, and then you can just pull it through. And this end is what you're going to plug in to your brake lights. Okay, so after about an hour and a half of this truck sitting in the sun, the top did stretch out a little bit more. We were able to slide the sides in, and we haven't done the back because I wanted to show you how the sides work as well. So both the sides and the back will have this little tab on the back side, and that tab slides into this channel right here. So when you're doing the top, you start from the very back, and you start sliding that into the channel from the back forwards, and that'll help you with the stretch of the fabric as well. As you saw, the back was really tight. We couldn't really bring it down, but doing that helps out. Obviously, we let this sit out in the sun for a little bit because that's really what made the difference. But once you do that, it's still going to be a little bit hard. So doing it from the front to the back will help out. Now get this one installed and call it a day. So again, you start from one end, slide that in there, push it down, and it should automatically slide in, and then work your way all the way down. And this is split into two, so it's split right there. Let me show you actually. Well, it's not coming out. Oh, there you go. So it's split into two pieces. It just makes everything that much easier. But you can slide all of this into the channel, zip it up, and you're done. It's actually not that easy, especially because of that stretch of the fabric, but most of the install went pretty smoothly. The soft top is the only thing that is gonna get you in trouble if you don't do it right. So again, if you have this, let it sit out for a minute, let it warm up. If you have time, let it sit in the sun so that it stretches out. All right guys, so we're done with this install. We do recommend two people do this. It just makes the job a whole lot easier. The frame itself isn't too hard, but the soft top is a little bit hard to stretch over the frame. So if you have two people, it'll make it a lot easier. All right, if you did like this video and you want to see more, like, subscribe. If you want to know more about us, you can visit our website. You can check out our product, including this Bestop. And if you need an install, feel free to stop by the shop. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and all your social media.